Little shop on the prairie here, and I'm Jim. Alright, we're going to try to make dovetails on the Shopsmith. Never done this before. I'm going to use the original, the Incra original positioning jig here that I got off eBay. You can still get them. They've been around for quite a while, but I've never used one on the Shopsmith, so let's give it a try. So here I'm pointing out to the little templates made with this program called PyRouter Jig that I got off the internet. It's a Python script that I didn't write, but it was for free. So the printout shows the dovetails so you can see how they're going to look on the board, and then it prints out this little template with lines to show where to set the jig so you know where to cut. You don't have to use the ruler to try to figure out where the next cut is. You just follow the pattern 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, and then the B side, and it works. Hopefully it makes it a lot easier to plan the cut. Also, as you can see here, I'm marking the center of the board because the template has a center mark also. So you get the template set to center, and then you have your board marked and line that up with the bit. So now we're just getting the board lined up with the bit with the center line. Got the template set, loosened up the T-nuts, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, so I can move the jig and get everything lined up to center. That's the very first things. Get the center of the bit to the center of the board with the template sitting on center. And that's all you have to do. Once that's done, it's all lined up, you're ready to go. So I'll just tighten the T-nuts right now, and then we're going to go ahead and move it to the left side and to the right side just to make sure that I line up on the edges of my board like they should be, equally spaced. And we'll tighten this puppy up so it won't move. These T-nuts really come in handy for a lot of jigs. I'll show you more of that. But now we got that set so this won't move at all. So to be honest with you, this jig didn't work on the left side. I wasn't paying attention to the rotation of the bit, and it was pulling the board to the right and forward, and so I didn't have good support with the fence. It was pulling it away from the fence. That's why in the next clip you'll see I show you how I made my new jig up on the right hand side. So, yeah, I make mistakes too. What I've got is this Incra original jig. I got it on eBay, and I built this little platform. It's 8 inches by 16 inches, I think, and attached T-nuts, Shopsmith T-nuts on the bottom here, so that this thing can slide into the miter slots and be able to lock down. So basically, we just kind of line these up. It's a little difficult, but not bad. Once you get them in, there we go. And then the little screws down here will tighten it down. I've got my board here, and I've got my center marked here. So what I do is, oh, that's right, I downloaded some software. It's called PyRouter Jig. It's a Python script out there. It's free, and what it does is it creates little templates for the jig, and you can tell it what you want to do, if you want to make dovetails or box joints. And I hope we can see this. This is the template here, and what it does is it replaces me having to look at the ruler here on the jig and try to calculate where to cut. You just have it just makes these little lines to tell you where to cut, and you just move your jig to those lines like so. It's a little hard to do it this way, but I'll show you. Makes it a lot easier and very accurate, so when you get all done, it actually works. So hopefully this will be better. This is new. I hope you guys will enjoy this one. If you want to know more about the template, let me know, Oh yeah, I made my own fence for this also. So, kind of the cheap way to go around it. But it works, I hope. We'll find out. Thanks. Hey everybody. Okay, we're going to set up for making half-blind dovetails. So, I showed you the jig. We're going to set the jig in place real quick here. Get our stuff out of the way. And like I said, it's a little difficult to get it started, but it's not bad. But when you're doing a video, it's always going to be hard. Okay, so we got that slid in. Got our board marked here. So we're going to set this thing up to center of the board. And like I said, with the template, makes it really nice to get it in place. And this jig sets in at, there's little grooves that it locks into, so you're exact on your location. So now we'll take our board and we will adjust this to the center of our cutting bit. Right like that, okay. And we'll tighten down the T-nuts. Oops, before I do that, almost forgot. Let's make sure we get our fence square. Okay, now we're square. There we go. I won't edit that out. It's kind of important. So snug this down really good and tight, because when you start cutting these things, there's a lot of pressure off the bit. It's going to be, and the bit is turning this way, so it's going to push the wood into the fence this way and in that direction. You have to keep that in mind. When I built my first jig, I did it on the other side, and it didn't work out very well. So now that we've got that, I put wax on here, some paste wax, because in order to cut the tails, I have this right angle adapter that fits on a homemade fence, and the wax just makes it slide a lot easier. So then what we'll end up doing here is we just use it that way with a backer board, of course, and we'll cut it in. And I'll show you that in a minute. But before I do that, I want to make sure I'm centered, and I am. So that's the first part. I'm setting up this jig on the Shopsmith. Make sure it's on the right-hand side so that the pressure doesn't cause you any problem. And I'm pretty sure this is the way to do it. Hey guys, little shop on the prairie. I think we're going to do some dovetails on the Shopsmith. One thing I want to mention to you, when I'm using these templates that I make from that little application called Pie Router Jig, I didn't write it. There's an A side and a B side for your tails and your pins, and you need to make sure mark your board so you know whether or not you should be using the A side or the B side lineup, or things won't work out right. I just thought I'd go ahead and say that really quick so that you would know. I'm pretty much all set up. I'll be right back with you, and we're going to go ahead and cut some dovetails really fast with this setup so you can see how it works. It's pretty slick.